The key to success on the field and in your backyard is a comprehensive game plan. So if you're building a fence or a deck this year, trust a Turkstra coach to design, quote, or order the right materials for your project. Visit a Turkstra Lumber near you to learn more.
From the Ticats Audio Network, this is the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker.
Hello and welcome to the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker. I'm joined each week by Orlondo Steinauer as we talk about the game from the past weekend and move along into the season. This week, the Ticats will be heading out to BC. But of course, last week, the Ticats got the first victory of the season against Ottawa at Tim Hortons Field. Coach, congratulations on the first win.
Thanks, Luke. Always feels good to win, no doubt.
Yeah, the locker room is, I'm sure, was a more enjoyable place to be following that game than it has been this year.
Yeah, it always is. I feel like, we've been close quite a few times, but there's no feeling like winning. I think growing up as a kid, you heard that saying from ABC, Wide World of Sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And I think whoever coined that has got it pegged.
Yep, they got it right. And how about leading into practice this week? Does it still ring true? It's more fun to make the corrections after a win behind you than a loss?
I can with sure confidence say always.
Yeah. A lot of good on the game on Saturday. Incredibly, kind of still a story of two different halves in some ways, but in the aspects of your team that stood out to you positively in the game, what were you most happy to see?
Being in the same situations again and just seeing a different level of confidence and energy and belief, and then actually following through and finishing for the first time this year. I think that's the huge takeaway. I mean, I could sit here and really dull the show down here and really get into the X's and O's and the things that you're proud of, but I would just say on a whole, at the end of the day, as a general statement, it's no secret we needed to find a way to finish, and we did that.
Yeah. Can you talk about one or two of those situations that maybe you found yourself in the first part of the season that you weren't able to overcome, that you're referencing, that maybe the team found a way to come back from?
Well, I think we had what we would refer to, Luke, and you'd know this as sudden change. And we were able to not only get them out of field goal range after a fumble on a punt return, but not just get them out of field goal range, but they ended up missing the field goal. And, oftentimes those are just, you end up getting three. And you've been part of our mock games. So that's exactly one of the scenarios. So when you practice something and you're able to prepare people and it comes to fruition, it just adds to the buy-in and the continuity of the football team. And then also, we do no huddle to start every practice. And I know for you, Luke, that would be old hat, but that's essentially what that last drive was. It was a timed situation, and we knew what we needed, and it took every play that was offered to get it done. So I'd say those are two specific situations that we could be extremely proud of.
Coach, talk to me at the end of the game there. We were going back and forth on our broadcast, partly expecting your team to go for two. And can you talk about that decision and maybe how it, in my opinion, maybe it went exactly how you were planning for that and sort of the percentages happened in your favor there. Can you talk me through that decision?
Yeah, well, it's always a collective decision. It always falls on my shoulders, and I take 100% ownership. I'll make that call. That's what I get paid to do. And the scenario that we were in right there is, let's go for two. If we don't get it, we're one. We feel like Leone is the best punter in the league, and in the moment, the decision was to go ahead and go up by two, force their hand to have to kick a field goal. And we also knew they were working against, I wouldn't call it a stiff wind, but definitely a breeze. And, obviously we didn't plan on that type of a kickoff return. And so, the decision like that gets magnified. So in this instance, it worked out, and I think you could go either way. with that decision.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really interesting. And at first I thought, oh no, they should go for 2 there. And then as I thought through, and all night, Leone's punts had a trajectory of like a deep pass. I mean, it's amazing how he was kicking the ball so long and so low, perfectly to score a single. Like, it's the perfect punt to score a single if you can get in that field position. And sure enough, your defense came up with an awesome stop and a tackle that ended up being half a yard short enough to keep that field goal out. So incredible decision making, and just amazing how that game comes down to those types of off the field decisions, as well as all the thousands of on the field decisions to make. So well done there. That was really an interesting CFL moment to watch that progress in a way that ended up maybe making sense. Although off the start, I'm sure there was tons of fans out there saying, "Whoa, we got to go up by 3 if we have the chance to." So very cool. Well done. The what still needs to be corrected? What when you left that field, certainly there was some sense of, we overcame. Great to see, like you said, the team come back from some things they've struggled coming back from in other games. But what are some of the things that stand out as issues that still have to be corrected?
The turnover takeaway. That's, it's rare when you are upside down in that type of category that you're able to sneak out a win, and that's just a tribute to all 3 phases. I thought we did overcome adversity in all 3 phases and made plays in all 3 phases to contribute to it. I thought we played some pretty good complementary football. We got a couple of stops, a couple penalty-free instances on punt return, and then the offense was able to capitalize. I know specifically you're saying, what is it that we need to work on? I think each game is different, right? And it's easy to say, well, we need to get more pressure on the quarterback. Well, some game plans aren't going to call for all-out blitzes. You don't just go in working on your weaknesses if it doesn't help you win the game that week. So you don't get to address everything every week as you might think from the outside in. Sometimes the game plan might, say if for example, somebody says, well, we need to throw the ball more in this zone. Well, maybe this game says we have to run the ball to win this game versus working on a weakness. And those are the things that, when you sign up in this business, you don't have to explain yourself on those type of things, but those are the things that go into it. Yes, you do address them, but sometimes you have to address some of your weaknesses and things that you want to improve on in meetings, and it may not be relevant to that week's game plan. Yeah,
it's interesting. It's not a preseason game where you're just out there to get better, right? So you gotta tee it up to win, even if that doesn't solve all the answers that the media people like myself have about the team.
Right.
The Dane. I mean, it's kind of an incredible. You look back at the game, and he must have a lot of emotions as to what's going on, and of course that fumble is probably on Dane's mind. But what can you say about his ability to find himself back in the game and to throw what ended up being a game-winning touchdown?
Well, that's an interesting question, and you could go a lot of different directions. I think it's a tribute to how mentally tough he is, one. And, to have that ball come out for, another week in a similar spot, you could see it in his face, and I just really thought at that moment he needed a break. And those are tough decisions to make because any competitive person wants a way to make it right. And so anytime it's easy to just, everybody's favorite quarterback is the backup. And so it's very easy to say what you should have done, but there's also ripple effects. But at that point, and I thought Matt came in and did a great job of marching down the field. We had an unfortunate, weren't able to capitalize on that. And when afforded another opportunity, it was interesting. I was on the headset, and Tommy and I are pretty aligned on these things most of the time, and we both agreed we needed to make a change and go to Matthew, and he did a great job. And then when it came down to what it was going to look like on the clock, I clicked over and I said, "It's Dane time, huh?" And he said, "Yep." And it was that clean, and with complete confidence. He stepped back there, and you would never knew that he fumbled, a few series before that. And that's it's a lot of mental toughness.
Yeah, and it's just interesting to see the story kind of progress from some of Dane's best play has been when he's been sort of not the outright starter. I mean, not that, of course, wasn't questioned totally in the game on Saturday, but just meaning he's been through a couple seasons where he's traded time with obviously Jeremiah and it was even here at the end of Zach's time in Hamilton, and just has always been. I don't know. It's interesting that that's part of his career, that he's just kind of had to have some toughness in some moments and sort of prove himself. But is there anything you can say about the balance of Matt and Dane as the season progresses?
Yeah, I think Matt's a proven quarterback. Very calm, very smart, and brings some experience. Way more athletic than he would get credit for.
That mullet scares some people off from the athleticism standpoint. That hair.
Yes, yes, they're writing him off because of the hair.
Right, yeah.
So I think that he's just a real pro too. And I know I'd mentioned this before to you, that I feel like, he's got a great relationship. Everybody wants to be the guy, but he took a chance on us and signed here and understood that we had a guy in place. So I like the dynamic, and I think that the team has confidence in both. But, Dane is our quarterback.
In the kicking game, obviously the roster wasn't exactly what people were expecting last week. And can you just talk to what you're expecting from Domagala going forward? And obviously there's a lot of people in that room. And anything you're willing to share as to what we can expect going forward from there.
Yeah, so we definitely shook it up last week, and I know everybody was, the much anticipated first appearance of John Ryan. People thought was inevitable, but sometimes people need just a little bit of time to get acclimated and those type of things. And it's one thing to be, punting footballs on air and flipping spirals to yourself, and it's another when you add punt rush and different snapper and all the other things that go into it. And so we just felt like John needed another week, so we'll make another decision this week. And so we went with Dom, and thought he did a decent job. The one thing you do gain with Dom, he's got a powerful leg, and things that people wouldn't think about is that you're adding a little bit of distance on your kickoffs also. And so Seth was able to handle just the place kicking duties, and Dom was able to kick off, and I think all those little things matter.
There is something that cannot be overlooked about the kicking game from this past Saturday, is that Domagala's tackle on that return was, and of course you don't want that to be the guy who has to make the tackle, but it was a leave no doubt kind of tackle that really ended up making a difference in the drive that we've already discussed, that every single yard mattered in the last bit of that game there. And just an unbelievable impressive. And you see, Dom, if you've had the chance to be up close, Domagala is not a small, maybe doesn't give you the exact epitome of a kicker body type. And amazing job for him to accomplish that tackle and help with that last effort to save every yard as the Red Blacks drove down the field. But Coach, your return game and Craig Butler's special teams, overall, I would say that's been a positive for your team this year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's been an extremely strong suit. Craig's done a fantastic job, along with Casey Crehan. They kind of head up the special teams. And so, very proud of them. They have, total command of the meeting room. They're very detailed. They demand excellence, which is one of our expectations as coaches. And I also think they're great teachers. And so, they're easy to follow. Craig was kind of that guy on the field, and Casey's full of experience. So, and I think that the players are playing hard. The players are always the ones to credit. They're the ones out there laying it on the line. And, while I think we've done a fantastic job, I know that there's nobody satisfied. And, unfortunately, we checked the rearview mirror one time, or we would have been in the end zone again.
Yeah, yep. Incredible. The inches that are left out there on the field. Well, Coach, you're shaping up and preparing here for a long trip west in a very late game. It'll be 10 p.m. start time for us here in the Hamilton area time zone. And what do you do getting ready on such a short week, getting ready to fly out there for the adversity of the late Western game?
Well, I mean, the first thing you got to do is you got to be prepared. And the second thing is part of that preparation is taking care of your body. And so while it's easy to say we want to grind and go out there and go to work, it's equally as important that, we're taking care of their bodies and they're getting proper rest and hydration, because the game will be here and it's been on the schedule. So, excited to go out there and lay it on the line and just go for it. And I feel like, our guys have the right mindset. So, as far as all the little details, you're always looking to have everybody stay up just a little bit later and those type of things, because, as you know, the game ends quite early in the morning.
Yeah. Coach, best of luck with the rest of the week of preparing for BC. Travel safe, and we're looking forward to a great Ticat Lions game Thursday night out in Vancouver.
Thank you. I look forward to it, and we'll see you soon.
All right, Coach, all the best.
Another episode of the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker is in the books. Let us know your thoughts. Email us at gameday@ticats.ca. Coach O and Luke are back next week to discuss the latest from the locker room. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.